Hi, I'm Heather from here booktubes, and today is Marriage of Convenience romance recommendations, and also I'm shamelessly using one of my kittens as clickbait. And if you follow me on Instagram, in my Instagram stories slash in my posts, I've also used kittens as clickbaits, and quite frankly, we're gonna see if it works. So let me know if you love kitten content. She's gonna go by now. Alright, marriage of convenience is different from arranged marriage or from a fake dating relationship, although I do have a couple of those that could definitely fall more in that category that I have in this one because I do feel that they fit. But marriage of convenience is basically they're not in love, or at least they haven't admitted that they're in love, and they are getting married because it fulfills a need for both of them. It's a symbiotic relationship. It's great because you often get forced proximity. Sometimes they have to fake affection in public, and obviously if it's a decent book at all whatsoever, they're gonna fall in love, and you often get just kind of an escalation of the dating process because they're in this fake marriage. So my very first one is The Favor by Suzanne Wright. This is a contemporary standalone. She is more of a paranormal author but has written a handful of contemporaries. And this one is her boss. They kind of joke that he's a sociopath, and he kind of might be. I can't tell if he is or not, honestly. He's kind of ruthless. She's his assistant. He is very happy with her as an assistant, even though he doesn't say thank you or anything like that. All those basic manner things. But he did her a favor a while ago, and now he's calling it in, and it's a marriage of convenience. And he needs it for an inheritance. He honestly doesn't care about the money, but there are things like the house he grew up in, I believe, that are involved that he wants. And it's all because his uncle was a workaholic and never had a family. He ended up adopting them after their childhood abuse came to light. And his uncle didn't want them to make the same mistakes that he did, so he required that they be married by a certain age before they can inherit. And like I said, he does not care about the money whatsoever, even though it's a lot of money. He wants a couple of items, basically. So he forces her into a marriage of convenience, and we only get her point of view. So we never really know what's going on in his head, and he treats her really well. He's just not an affectionate person, and it's so good. It's so good. I was really anticipating this release. I was so excited to read it as soon as it came out, and it lived up to my expectations. Next, I have Feral Sins by the same author. This is a werewolf romance, and it is a mating of convenience. So Taryn is a latent wolf shifter, which means that her wolf can't come out, and she's very alpha, extremely alpha. However, she can't be the alpha of a pack without a wolf to fight challenges. So her father has arranged a mating for her, basically. And that guy is psycho and abusive, and she doesn't want to have any part of being in that pack whatsoever. And so she and Trey come to an agreement in a nightclub. Trey is like the most alpha wolf in the entire area. But his wolf is also feral, so he's a little unstable, and he has not spent any time forging political alliances or anything, and now he needs them. What better way than to mate the daughter of another powerful alpha? So they decide to fake a true mate connection, because if you find your true mate, you can break a mating agreement, and that would be the only way that she could get out of it. So they fake a true mate connection, and it's so good. I loved it so much. They're both so alpha, and there's a lot of sarcasm and banter, and you really get to enjoy the entire pack, who all get their own books, and I loved them also. And you have these two very dominant people who are trying to fake affection, but also they're wolves, and they and sex is part of their agreement, and they leave like love bites all over each other because Wolves obviously mark the territory with bites, and it's so good. It's so good. Next I have Let Me Free You, which is McClain Brothers #4 by Alexandria House. You could read this as a standalone, although you do kind of see their journey a little bit through the other books. So Neil is a former alcoholic, and very recently former. He's just getting out of rehab, and Sage is going to be deported. Her family are illegal immigrants, and even though she spent her entire life basically in the country, she's being deported and she doesn't want to go. She's never been there to her home country, and she doesn't want to go. And so his brother asked him to do a marriage with her, and they have like a very spiritual connection. It's a little unusual, I guess, but I thought it was super interesting, and I actually really liked it. And he is so sweet and so protective, and like all of Alexandria House's heroes. And I really loved the way that he was there for her, and the way that she really helped him to enjoy life. And I loved them. They were the cutest couple. Next I have Lady Luck, which is Colorado Mountain #3 by Kristen Ashley. This is a book that centers heavily on racism, because Ty is getting out of prison for a crime that he didn't do, and there are a few reasons why he was set up. 1, he crossed the people who set him up. 2, he was being used to send a message to somebody else to stop digging. And 3, he's half black, and the people who set him up are corrupt cops who are very, very racist. And so that plays a big part, obviously, in the book. Lexi shows up at the prison to pick him up. She was told to give him a ride. She's a little bit under the thumb of a drug dealer, not because she's a user or a dealer or into any shady things, but because her dead ex was involved with this guy, and by extension she was, and she can't escape from under his thumb. So when he tells her to do something, she has to go do it. And he tells her to go pick up Ty from prison. That's all she thinks she's doing. She's used some vacation days and is giving him a ride. What she doesn't know is she's actually been sent as a marriage. So he gives her the option not to do it, but he offers her money and he offers her protection from this drug dealer. And he says, you know, you will never have to worry about him again if you give me these months to get my revenge done. And part of why he was set up was the girl that he was sleeping with lied and said that he wasn't there. Nobody else saw him. They had a weekend, and since she lied and said that he wasn't there, they were able to pin this murder on him. And so his one big goal in having a marriage is that his wife can verify his whereabouts and they can't do it again. So it's an interracial couple. It looks a lot at corruption and racism, but I really enjoyed it because there were people on every side that were good and that were bad. And you really had people, you know, coming together to try and right wrongs, and it was just so good. He does screw up like epically, but he does have to grovel and make up for it. But this was just, oh man, my heart, and it was just so good. Next, I have Wildest Dreams, also by Kristen Ashley. This is the first in her Fantasyland series, and this is a parallel universe fantasy. So our main character is from our world, and she gets sent to this parallel universe, which is more like different times in history, and she gets sent to a French-like court. And the thing about the alphas in the series is, first of all, they're leaders of countries, so they're very used to getting their way, but also they live in a completely different society. So like this one, he's going to control her birth control without her knowledge, and that is like the accepted thing in the society. And another one, in the other ones, they all do things that we in modern day America would not be okay with, and that's kind of the point, is that the society is very different. And what are you gonna do when you're suddenly thrust into the society and you fall in love with a man who doesn't see things the way that you see them? So that's just a very interesting look, but just be aware that that's the point is that it's not good. It's not normal for us. And how much of what you think is right or wrong is based on what you're taught. Anyways, she falls in love with the king. Unfortunately, her doppelganger has not made a great impression with the king, and so the one that he thinks he is marrying, he doesn't like at all, and so she's going to have to overcome that, which of course she does, and it's beautiful. Also, this takes place in a lot of snow, so if you want to read it in winter, there you go. Next, I have Fix It Up by Jessica Gaziella, which is more of a fake marriage, and it's basically Chip and Joanna Gaines if they had the same show but were actually a fake marriage. And so these two are a designer and a contractor, and they are often butting heads, and they are arguing in the middle of a Home Depot like store, and this producer for the show sees them and is like, oh, I would love to have you guys run a show. This would be amazing. Send me your work, yada, yada. But they only want them together. So they have to have a fake marriage. And it's just picture it in your mind, fixer-upper. But if they were faking the marriage, but were also wildly attracted to each other. It's so good. Light, fluffy, sweet. Loved it. Next, I have The Duchess Deal, which is Girl Meets Duke #1 by Tessa Dare. You've probably heard about this book. You've probably heard about this book a lot. And the reason is, it's great. It's fantastic. It's an absolute delight. So Emma goes to get paid for this wedding dress from this duke because his fiance left him, but she already made the dress. She put in all the labor and resources, and she really needs to get paid for it. And the duke is scarred and is like, nobody will ever love me. And so he's like, all right, we're gonna have a marriage of convenience. We will have all these rules, and once you have an heir, we won't sleep with each other again. But I need an heir. You're gonna give it to me. This is what we'll do. And she has her own rules. She's not a pushover at all, and their banter is fantastic and it's just delightful. You have a good man who's just being a ridiculous, broody person, and a woman who's just like, yeah, I'm not putting up with that. You're gonna lighten up a little bit. And I just loved it. Last but not least, I have Radiance, which is Wraith Kings #1 by Grace Draven. This is also a booktube darling, and this is more a arranged marriage, but it is from a prince and a noble lady who both are in the royal family but far enough out of the line to rule that they aren't super valuable. And so they have a arranged marriage to try and bring their people together. So she is human and he is a Kai, and they are gray and they have long black claws and yellow eyes, and they're freaked out by humans and humans are freaked out by them. And they are so nice to each other from the very first meeting. It's really friends to lovers inside of an arranged marriage, and it is definitely a little bit of a marriage of convenience because they're both fulfilling their purpose in helping their countries. But I just loved how they treated each other. It's like a domestic fantasy. It's just very focused on the two of them and them really falling in love with each other before they feel any attraction whatsoever to each other. And I loved it. And you probably would too. That's all my marriage of convenience recommendations. What is your favorite one that you have read? And subscribe if you want more romance recommendations, because that's kind of what I do. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.